By looking at Kenol Kobil, quite some impressive earnings there, 150% up for the first half of this year. What's your analysis of those results?
Well, I'll look at it from the point of view of Conoco Bill's expansion programs. You notice they were one of the first to expand within East and Central Africa, and going by the latest news, you've seen them expanding with the new setup of Kenol Mozambique in terms of positioning themselves. And the reason behind this, you realize that most of the BP Shell are exiting from downstream business and focusing more on prospecting and refinery, which now leaves an ample space, or rather a vacuum, for other companies that were much smaller during the reign of the BPs and the Shells to take up. And if you look at from the point of view of, you find that Conoco Bill has actually strategically placed itself. And going by also how they position themselves, you find the Rwanda outlet has been posting very good revenues in terms of profit. You find that the way they've actually positioned themselves, even within the Kenyan market, there's stories of they might be the ones taking over the Shell outlets, but until that is confirmed, we can only speculate. But also going by sound management decisions, because again, looking at the decision to move into a certain market when you're not sure about it, going by the recent situation where they partnered with Engen in Zimbabwe, though that didn't fall through, but it still shows you that there's an element of very bold management, which in the end is actually written in black and white when you see the company is actually in the black as opposed to being in the red.
All right. Other news also that could be viewed as very positive, specifically for the tea sector. Good prices at the tea auction are favoring Kenya. 22 shillings, 74 per kilogram. Compared to $1.25 Malawi, Rwanda, Burundi, 2 shillings, $2.58. What's your analysis of how this will impact the tea stocks on the Nairobi Stock Exchange, keeping in mind that they've been trading rather flatly within the last couple of weeks?
Well, the tea stocks, owing to, there are not many shares out there. You notice like Williamson Tea is one of the very restrictive, then you have the Sassini. But what happens is that owing to, especially, you look at, we've come from a very favorable weather conditions. There's been ample rain over the period of time, and that has been favorable. But going forward, you realize that the tea prices also tend to have a fluctuation. There will be very good prices of a duration of maybe this first 6 or 7 or so months, then the prices will plummet, also pegged on the international markets, because now tea is more or less liberalized. But I would say going forward, it's also been very good strategies that have been put in place also by the Tea Board of Kenya, by having now also part of Kenyan tea, by branding their own tea and putting it out there in the market. So you find most of these benefits will now move, also trickle down to not just the farmer, but to everyone in general. So I would give it my, with regards to tea stocks, I always look at it from a point of view of, it's a stock that you hold and on a mid to average kind of situation, because it tends to have fluctuations, because the prices are dictated by the world markets.
Now, interesting results from Diane Blair first half, definitely an indicator of the direction the Nairobi Stock Exchange is taking. The firm has announced a profit of 79.3 million shillings in the first 6 months of this year, compared to a loss of 103 million in the same period last year. What do you make out of this result?
Well, I'd say they've learned a lesson. Most of the investment banks have actually streamlined their operations, and they moved from rudimentary operations to now actually being on board and looking at operating as a bank, although albeit an investment bank for that matter, and streamlining their business, realizing that you don't just depend on your average people coming in, buying stocks and selling stocks. You actually have to position yourself to offer certain products, certain portfolios. You build portfolios for your clients, and also having a different approach as far as investing is concerned. And we look at also, as the market has improved, those who have positioned themselves strategically have ended up benefiting and have ended up now taking up the lion's share of the profits as far as the stocks in the market are concerned.
What's your analysis, though, of what is likely to happen in the second half of the year? How sustainable do you see that growth that is currently, that has been witnessed at least in the first 6 months of this year?
Well, not to make light of it, I needed to look at my crystal ball, but going forward, looking at it, would have to say that if you look at the way we are, it's like we're at a midway point as far as this NSE is concerned, as far as investments are concerned, because, you know, in 6 days' time, we have the big debate, whether it's green for yes, whether it's red for no. And those outcomes, you notice, though, the market sentiment seems poised for a positive outlook. They know that this has to move on and we get back to business. But if you look at that, then you see that people are actually waiting with bated breath. But going by the sentiments, going by the opinion polls, we tend to see that there's a lot of optimism that after the August 4th referendum, things will get back and we'll be going on with what we are used to doing.
I just realized that we've really focused on quite some good news, and the last story is also a good one. 17% growth in tourism arrivals for Kenya for the first half of this year, and they say if it goes as the numbers are showing, it will probably be Kenya's best year for the tourism sector. How do you see the tourism stocks reacting to this?
Well, that would be very positive. The likes of TPS, Terryanne, and you notice, like, I noticed one other thing, Amboseli is up and running. The tourist numbers have increased at Amboseli. Good roads, infrastructure has been improved with the ongoing things that have been there. There's a lot of vegetation, the animals are back, and there's a lot of positive outlook as far as tourism is concerned. Also, you have to give credit to the Kenya Tourism Board. They've been very, very aggressive as far as marketing Kenya as a tourist destination. And then albeit with what just concluded World Cup 2010 in South Africa has actually created positive light for Africa. It was well run, and there's a lot of positive sentiment as far as Africa is concerned. So most of those tourist spots will take advantage of that. We'll find people coming over. You have JKIA as a hub. So you get a lot of those tourist arrivals. If they're doing connecting flights, they'll tend to actually have a stay or two in Nairobi and pass the word round.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you too.